Hello and welcome to episode 95 of PubShorts, title Algorithm. My name is Dr. K.
Algorithm.
Yeah, algorithm. Right pronunciation. My name is Dr. KK. I'm the innovation officer at Trinka and Inago, and I have with me Tony, who is very good at correcting pronunciations, apparently.
KK, can I just apologise for correcting your pronunciation? It was clearly culturally inappropriate of me to do so, and I'd like to apologise to everyone listening to
No,
my
that's fine. That's fine.
apology.
That's fine. We are here to present new information, and that's part of learning. And your feedback is part of learning, and we want feedback.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And who
exactly.
knew I'd be good at maths?
All right. So off to you with your introductions and what this series is, podcast
Thank you,
series
KK.
is, as well as why we are.
Episode no,
Yeah.
episode 95. Good grief! In just under a year, we've recorded 95 episodes. That's quite. I find that quite amazing, and
Wait,
I
Tony.
hope
Tony,
our watchers.
I made a mistake. I should have shared this video. You can continue speaking. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. Go on. Go on.
Oh,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony O'Rourke, and I'm Vice President for Partnerships here in Inago. Welcome to PubShorts, which is a regular podcast which KK and I record, where we discuss news stories that are related to the world of research and research communication, whether it's technology, policy, any sort of global trends. And today's episode is called, as KK rightly says, it's called Algorithm. And why is it? What we like to do, and I think I've said this before, what we like to do is we like to link every episode to a pop song, pop or rock song. KK and I are both mildly music obsessed, and this episode is no different. This episode is actually called Algorithm. You may think it's named after the mathematical formula or the mathematical approach. It is, of course, but it's also named after the song by Muse, also called Algorithm. So in this episode, we discuss stories relating to downloadable reasoning models, open source GPTs, and the practical changes they bring to coding agents and research workflows, and what a complicated algorithm it currently is.
Yes.
So, yes. So let's go to the first story.
All right. Aren't you showing the cover of the album? Do you? Don't
Oh,
you have, yeah. Yeah. Right. I
of
thought
course.
I was waiting for the
I,
reveal.
I beg your pardon. Of
Yeah,
course.
Muse might be unhappy with us.
If I've got the CD, I like to show the CD somewhere. Yeah, this is actually from the record simulation theory.
Yeah, right. So, moving on to the first story, which I've already accidentally shared, showing my lack of production skills for a podcast. But anyway, moving on. The first story is a story titled GLM 4.5: Reasoning, Coding, and Agentic Abilities. So this is a new model, yet another new model from China, actually, Tony. So it excels in reasoning, coding, and agentic tasks, and it is available on ZAI. And this is the web page that lists the details of it, with open weights on Hugging Face and model scope. This is where if you are a developer, you'll find how to plug into a new model with all the necessary information, Hugging Face. And so this model, Tony, apparently shows a strong performance in agentic tasks, matching Claude 4 Sonnet on I think, I forget the Greek symbol that it represents. I think it's theta bench, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It demonstrates superior coding abilities with 53.9% win rate against Kimi Kato, which if you remember, Tony, we covered a few episodes ago. That was the latest DeepSeek killer, and now this is another sort of a sim in the same manner. And eventually it uses what I found interesting was a mixture of experts architecture for improved compute efficiency. I expect that's a sort of architecture that I would expect in any modern model. So anyway, this is another truly
Mixture of
open.
experts being an agentic network.
Yes, and to improve efficiency and everything. And it is yet another open model. When I say open, if you have open weights, then that is a truly open model. And we will cover a couple of stories related to ChatGPT's latest open models. So, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, are you any surprised at all?
I'm not surprised more models are coming out of China. China is definitely stealing a march here over the rest of the world, particularly the US. I'm not sure I fully understand this particular model compared to others, but it's obviously more mathematically sound than previous models.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it just reminds me of how important it is to have guardrails. And if you're using models like this, you need to have somebody actually physically checking, making sure that what it's producing, what it's verifying,
Yeah.
what it's claiming can be verified.
Right. Okay. Moving on to the
Particularly
next.
with only 90% is good, but that still leaves 10% leeway.
Right. I mean, the reason why I included it because OpenAI released a bunch of models probably in relation to such stories. So, but let's move on to the OpenAI stories. The first, I mean, there were a bunch of stories the end of last week, before we had our last episode. I mean, after we had our last episode. The first one is from TechCrunch, and this is where the story actually broke. So, OpenAI launches two OpenAI reasoning models was the title of the story. So these were accidentally leaked is what I understand, and sorry, this is not accidentally leaked, it is related to GPT-5. So this one is about GPT OSS 120b as well as GPT OSS 20b models. Now, what is the difference between a classical, let's say, GPT model, and this is that these are locally deployable, truly open, not truly open, open weighted models that are the first such model releases after GPT-2 from OpenAI. So that's a huge thing. And if you notice, Tony, these 120b and 20b stand for the number of parameters that the model can handle. So 120 billion parameters and 20 billion parameters. And
Yeah.
the smaller models can even be run on a regular AI enabled laptop, which
Wow.
provides huge possibilities for researchers as well as, let's say, smaller, let's say, companies and everything who do not want to probably spend a lot of money on GPU based AI server infrastructure. And they apparently excel in reasoning, tool use, and are cost effective as well. This is obviously OpenAI's claims, but we need to get the market evaluation in terms of what people think after using it. And it is compatible with OpenAI's responses API, which is how you can connect to these models as well. I mean, in the sense, if you wanted to do it, but you can also deploy it locally. So these are, the most important thing to consider would be that these have lower GPU requirements, enabling it to be deployed locally in relatively low, I guess, less expensive machines. And obviously, open weightedness means that you can customize it, and we can even use it for any, let's say, publishing related workflow. That's a possibility. Now, after many years, we have an OpenAI model that is compatible with it. What are your thoughts on it?
Um, Again, I'm no particular thoughts about this. I'm just there's so much happening in terms of new models being coming to market. I'm just curious to see how whether this is going to float to the top or will get lost like so many of the other models that have been released. Not lost, but not necessarily being as prominent.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think these are going to be prominent models?
Yes, that's because it is, as I said, it is open weighted, which is similar to why people prefer DeepSeek and the Kimi K2 and everything, and even just the one
Mm,
GLM 4.5 that we
mm,
discussed.
mm,
So that's
mm,
important from a research point of view. So basically, if suppose, Tony, you want to build an AI, I don't know, a software or a different model itself, you can download it and you can customize it. You can make it your own. Basically, once you download it and you customize it because of the openness of it, it becomes your own. And so it can be used for positive and negative aspects. So that
mm,
is why it is probably going to be more relevant in the conversation, because OpenAI was initially supposed to be really open, but then none of their models were, I mean, most of their models are not open weighted. And it is still not truly open because we do not know what data it was trained on. That once you have both these criteria, open weightedness as well as we have the information regarding training, then it becomes truly open. So it is almost open, but not truly open. So
So they're starting to deliver on their promise.
yes, yes. Hopefully, I mean, because OpenAI has gone back and forth regarding this. But
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
the relevance to research? You might think. So this is the model card page of these two models on OpenAI.com. So as per this, OpenAI states that evaluations are already on this show that these models do not reach high capability in biological, chemical, or cyber domains, but OpenAI has tested adversarial fine tuning, but models remain within safe limits. So in the sense that, when it's let out in the world, as I mentioned, there are positive and negative use cases, and because of the nature of training or nature of development that OpenAI has done, it is relatively safe, is what OpenAI is claiming. And unfortunately, it does not advance biological capabilities, right? Probably because it needs a larger model. But at the same time, maybe computational science, all sorts of such research projects can be fueled by this, especially on locally deployed systems. So that's the context. Any further thoughts on this story?
Not really. I'm just thinking in terms of the applications, possibly, and how the sort of tools that might be required to sort of verify what's being generated here. you can imagine that peer review, AI-based peer review tools will only become more and more um, effective and
Hmm.
efficient with tools like this being introduced. If it's higher performing and is open, I
Right.
suspect that there'll be a lot of use of this in the sort of like we have our own peer review workspace,
Hmm.
and we're looking at how the different LLMs that might be used to support that. So yeah, I can see they've been more used, really, really very popular in that area.
Right, and hot on the heels of this news story, and before, I mean, because we were expecting another launch from, I guess, ChatGPT, we have Claude Opus 4.1 being released, and this is the Anthropic.com web page for it. So this one, it is an upgrade on their previous model, and it shows improvements in agentic tasks as well as coding and reasoning, and we'll cover a related story later on. And it is available to paid users and on several platforms like Amazon Bedrock. If you remember, Anthropic is sort of improving in terms of integration with Amazon. We have covered a story before. And in terms of performance improvements, notable improvements in multi-file code refactoring and debugging. So Anthropic is making sort of leaps in the coding space in terms of revising, debugging a whole code bases itself for software, which is capable. And if you are following Ethan Mollick, we'll cover a couple of, I mean, a pause from it. So he generally uses Anthropic to build his own. Let's say software from scratch. It's like vibe coding, but he uses Anthropic for it. And this model is recommended for all developers to upgrade from Opus 4, which was a previous model. Anyway, so this is the story. So and yet another. So yes, last week was lots of model drops at the end of the week. Any thoughts on this in terms of coding?
No, again. There's I'd hate to be a software developer these days. The role of the software developer is going to change so much in the coming years. I believe I might be wrong,
Mm,
but this does look like one of the better language models for coding assistance.
mhm.
So maybe if that in combination with a good solid human programming can make the programming process even more efficient, then it's a good thing, surely.
Right. And I mentioned earlier that we had a breaking news story from GitHub because OpenAI's GPT-5 models, which were openly released on Friday last week. But this news broke on GitHub, I think, a day before. And so this one, it is OpenAI's new GPT-5 models announced early by GitHub. So this is a Verge article discussing this early announcement, and it mentioned that GPT-5 will be available in 4 versions, and the models will include GPT-5, GPT-5 Mini, GPT-5 Nano, and GPT-5 Chat, each designed for specific use cases. But unfortunately, I think this is not the reality because once the Nature also covered the story after it was released. So this is it's basically the GPT-5. You can consider it as a reasoning model that researchers can download and customize. Wait, let me just confirm that this is the right news story. No, no. This is sorry. This news story is related to GPT OSs. That's why it's a customizable model. So unfortunately, I'm missequenced it. So this we have already covered this story. So I'm going to go back to GPT-5 story by Ethan Mollick. So this is related to the GPT-5 story that we just covered in terms of breaking news. So Ethan Mollick this titles the post. It just does stuff. GPT-5 that is. So it is a major advancement in AI as per Ethan Mollick, and it automates model selection and effort for tasks. And GPT-5 can produce complex outputs with minimal prompts, and users can prompt it to think hard for better results. And it is proactive in suggesting tasks and solutions and handles coding tasks effectively, even with minimal prompting. So the overall aim with GPT-5 as per OpenAI is to simplify prompts, and Ethan Mollick thinks that it does it. I do not think that you have explored GPT-5 yet, but your thoughts on it, Tony, so far, GPT-5?
I certainly don't. No, my only thoughts, KK, and I'm sure this is the same with many of our listeners and what viewers is. If I think back to how in the past
Hmm.
it was a big news story whenever the likes of Intel or AMD would produce a new microprocessor.
Hmm.
It'd be people would be referring to Moore's law and that speeds would be increasing, but it was on a kind of an annual or almost like semi-annual basis. It feels like there's a new variant coming out every week,
Right.
and it's very difficult to sort of keep up with, what's going to be the leading product, what's going to be coming out next month that's going to drive the market in a different direction. So no, I'm just baffled at how quick, how fast this market is moving.
Right. The reason why I said the Verge's different breakdown in terms of different models being available is potentially incorrect is because I have explored GPT-5 myself, and it has an auto mode which lets you decide whether how long it needs to think. And the older legacy models, which the ones that we've been using or I've been using, were not available for a few days. But then users were unhappy with it, and hence they brought back the legacy models, as well as they are working on improving the auto selection of the model as per the task. But so far, I find GPT-5's output to be, compared to the O4 Mini that I was using, to be, let's say, less accurate and underwhelming. So that's the general
Okay,
feedback, and OpenAI has already received feedback and is working on improving the output, is what we know already. So
right.
there you go. So it does actually matter in terms of how things are, I guess,
Yeah, I know,
done.
absolutely, absolutely. But as somebody who's not a regular GPT user,
Yeah.
it's the speed of new releases is not just from OpenAI is kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, yeah, and you might have noticed that we are almost at the end of our article list. We have one quick hit to cover, and this is because, I mean, we are, after all, in August, which is the holiday season, so less
It's
break.
always a low news
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
at least in the world of research education.
Right, right. Okay, so the last one, this is a quick hit. It's titled Windows 2030. Microsoft predicts agentic AI OS will replace the mouse and the keyboard. So this is a sort of a, I guess, inflammatory news story. I mean, apparently this was based out of an interview that Microsoft's VP, Vice President at Microsoft, David Weston, gave. So basically, he imagines and a future where AI replaces traditional, interfaces like the mouse and the keyboard, and it'll basically that those will be replaced by AI agents. So basically, you can talk to things to get things done instead of actually typing things in or clicking things. And this will be multimodal also. That means you voice as well as natural language, and maybe even video to that, for that matter. And this vision, Tony, has received mixed reactions with skepticism about the timeline, which basically says that at the end of like in 5 years, we won't have the mouse or the keyboard, is what Microsoft VP is predicting. So your thoughts on it? I wanted to get your take on it. Do you think?
I hadn't really considered it before, but I think the use of voice technology in smart devices is invasive. I mean, I know in my own case, if I'm watching a smart TV, for example,
Mhm.
I very rarely type in the name of the program I want to watch. It's all voice commands. So why
Wow.
shouldn't not be that be extended to the mouse and the keyboard? It makes absolute sense. In fact, I would welcome it. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
as long as it understands my accent.
I think accents would not be a problem because voice technology has improved. In my personal opinion, the precision that I get, especially because I'm a typer, I love writing and typing. So I don't think I'll ever get rid of my keyboards, especially the mechanical
No,
keyboards that I have.
I don't
Yeah.
think I will. But
Yeah.
for a quick document, often I find it easier to
Yeah.
speak a document out loud,
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
and then yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that is actually the end of the episode, probably one of our shorter episodes. So Tony, what are your thoughts overall? I mean, AI models, but how can you contextualize in the academic publishing space? As it, what do you think will happen because of all these models? Do you have any thoughts?
Um, Gosh, if I was working for a publisher today, I would have teams
Mm,
crawling over this technology in terms of understanding how this is going to impact on our workflows. How can we make the publishing process more efficient and more effective? How can we, but more importantly, how can we support our authors? How can we support our researchers by providing them with tools which will make their work, make their communication so
hmm.
much more effective, so much easier?
Right.
Um, I think this is it's on the one hand, it's kind of difficult to keep up, as I keep on referring, but
Mm,
also it's a very exciting
mm,
time,
right.
um, just in terms of the direction of travel. Where's this going to go? How is this going to evolve?
Yep.
I think there's some really interesting things to go. And I think if anything, if we get this, if the publishing sector gets this right, and there has been this concern over the research communication, research publishing recently, and with particularly increased retractions.
Hmm.
This can do a lot to sort of reassure, I think, the general public that they're using the best possible tools, the most
Yeah.
accurate tools to communicate the best possible research.
Yep.
So no, I think it's an interesting, very exciting time.
Yeah, the promise held by these models is the one that I'm excited by, and for the applications, the practical applications to maybe flag cases of research integrity in the submissions, as well as to help peer reviewers and editorial
Yeah.
desks with screening and everything. That's
Yeah.
what I'm excited about, including the latest, reasoning models, which can probably facilitate, because they can act at least as an ally to the human reasoner who's evaluating it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Right.
so it's wonderful. So Tony, we have 94 episodes that are on a YouTube playlist. So how can somebody who's interested in knowing about what we've talked about, all the
Okay.
news stories? Yes.
If you've got 4 days free, and you want to watch all previous 94 episodes of PubShorts, I would recommend you go to our PubShorts channel on YouTube. Just search for Inago PubShorts, and you'll see all previous 94 episodes, and this one
Yeah.
quite soon as well.
Yeah.
On YouTube. And please press share, like, comment on the videos. Please use the comments boxes to send us suggestions for topics for future episodes. And thank you for those of you who've already sent us topics and ideas already. Very much appreciated. And if you want to find out more about PubShorts or find out more about the sort of things that we do here at Inago, you can contact KK or I via LinkedIn, or you can contact me directly at tonyo@inago.com.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony. And until the next episode, this is Dr. Kiki signing off on behalf of Tony as well as the team. Bye-bye, Tony.
See you in the next one.